Most people are worried about not having enough time, but won't make good use of the time they already have. And in this video, I'm going to reveal the 3 C's of time wasting so you can determine how to spend more time on what matters. And as a little bit of proof, I'm a former US Marine with 6 years vulnerable service. I've helped a busy nurse and single mother of 3 kids start her own business without sacrificing time with her kids, helped a former Border Patrol agent do the same, and helped dozens of other creators and entrepreneurs save hours a day and focus more on what matters for their business and life. And if you want to have a little bit more proof, I do have a school community of nearly 200 people. If you are interested to join the community and learn more, then click the link down below and I would love to see you in there. But we're gonna go right into the video. So the first C is consuming. If you're consuming content, if you're consuming social media, if you're consuming TV, if you're putting your attention on just random things on the internet or anywhere else, then chances are you're probably wasting hours a day that you could be taking back on other things that matter most to you. And the way I've found consuming behaviors for a lot of people, including myself in the past, is that we just like to consume to get a dopamine hit. We want to mindlessly scroll and forget about the problems we have in our day. We just like to scroll on our phones. That becomes the path of least resistance for a lot of people. And we don't realize how much time that takes away from us. Not just our time, but our ability to focus on what actually matters. If you've noticed, like maybe during your workday, you get bored or you're stressed, and then you decide to pull out your phone and you just want to be able to kill some time. Maybe you're on a lunch break. You try to spend 15 to 30 minutes just scrolling your phone. Maybe even during the workday when you don't even have a break and when no one's really looking, and you just scroll. You scroll, you scroll, you scroll just to get that dopamine hit, just to get something going in your mind, right? But when you try to put it down and get back to the work, you notice it's harder to actually focus because we have this neurotransmitter called dopamine where when you have this pleasurable experience, you go above baseline. You have that pleasurable experience. That's also true with everything like sex, drugs, alcohol, or gambling, video games. Like all of these are pleasurable experiences in the moment. But when you try to do something that is harder, that's boring, that's not as stimulating, then you're gonna end up being below baseline. You're gonna crash. You're gonna go below baseline, and it's gonna be significantly harder to focus on what actually matters, the task at hand, assuming you have a task or work related thing to do, or really anything else that you want to pursue. If you want to pursue working out of the gym, or just have like spending more time with your family, going out and meeting your friends, you don't have the motivation or the drive to be able to do any of those good things because you just got consumed by all that. So we want to be able to address that problem by not consuming nearly as much of the entertainment content and things like that, especially during the days where we know we have to do certain tasks that we need to accomplish, things that we actually want to actually achieve and get done. That is one consuming behavior that I found that can waste a lot of time, but that's not it. That's not all of it. There's other types of consumption that I have found that can also waste a lot of time. And there's one type of consumption which is actually good for us. I break it down into just in case consumption and just in time consumption. How I say just in case consumption is that when you're trying to learn or try to consume knowledge, like learn from all these YouTubers and creators and entrepreneurs and business owners, and you just want to keep learning, keep building a library of knowledge in your head. In that same way, it's just as bad as the entertainment kind of consumption where you're just consuming to kill time. So when you're trying to overeducate yourself, this is how I find that a lot of people stumble, is that they try to overeducate themselves before they actually get started. You're trying to consume from all these tutorials and try to learn all this stuff first. And you could waste hours of that, hours per day before you actually start the project, before you actually start the business, before you actually continue doing what actually matters. Because you just want to keep consuming more. You obsess over the knowledge, but not the execution, but not the implementation. And that's what a lot of YouTube viewers struggle with, and a lot of people who want to learn, which is a great thing, but they over emphasize on the knowledge and the learning before the execution and implementation. The fact of the matter is, if you're learning, you combine knowledge with execution. If you're not applying what you've learned, have you really learned? I would argue not. So people are consuming, but not actually learning. They're not implementing things in their life. So that's why a lot of people can get so stuck in this just in case kind of consumption. So that could be a trap for a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of creators that want to actually get things going. But there's another type of consumption that is good for us, and what I believe, what I have found, and it's called just in time consumption. So these are the consuming habits for the intention of solving problems. When we have a project, we want to have a business to start, when we want to solve any specific problems relating to life, we have continuous problems in life. We're always solving problems. We're human, right? We have problems are inevitable. So when we want to solve our problems, and if we don't know how to solve them yet, thankfully with the internet, we can solve just about all those problems. We have so many resources available to us that we can have this problem solved. But the thing here is we need to be intentional about what problems we need to solve, what things we're consuming and applying. So this type of consumption is intended to consume, then apply. So if you're consuming this video, then you might have understood at this point that you might be realizing that you've been consuming social media or things like that, and you might need to take action on actually removing some of those behaviors in your life. Maybe not entirely, right? It's not easy to just get rid of habits altogether, right? But like making the next step to like actually saving yourself a little bit of time, even if it's like 30 minutes or an hour from doom scrolling. And if you've applied that from this video, then awesome. That's saving you an hour a day. That's the goal here. But the idea is, for the type of consumption that you want to have, is that it's going to solve the problems that you're facing. And don't get me wrong, like sometimes I have like the times where I want to like watch YouTube videos. I'm not saying that that's entirely wrong. I'm saying like if you have things you need to prioritize in your day and you're prioritizing the entertainment content, then you might need to, I would strongly suggest you would have to reassess what you're consuming, right? So the next thing is, it's actually quite different from what I've talked about, and it's called complaining. So complaining is such a big time waster. Instead of looking inward to solve your own situation in life, you decide to make yourself a victim and blame everything else in the world. Yeah, this is going to be pretty deep compared to the consuming part, so bear with me. So you become a victim to your own circumstances, your boss, your job, your financial situation, your kids, your parents, your spouse. You put so much blame on everything else in the world that you just don't look at yourself and see like, what things can I improve in my life? And you're too busy worrying about what other people are saying and what other people are doing, and that you think that directly affects you, and it can directly affect you, but what is that going to help you with? What is continuing to complain about your life circumstance going to help you in your life? So instead of making excuses and making a victim out of yourself, you need to start asking yourself, like, what areas in my life do I need to stop acting like a victim and stop complaining? Yeah, you might have a job, you might have a 9 to 5, but is that necessary for your situation to be able to be financially stable in your life? If so, you realize that that might be more freeing than you realize. We might need to look at the positive side of the coin of your circumstances rather than looking more at the negative side of the situation. So any areas of your life within your work, your marriage, your friends, where you've taken on that victim mentality, because this just, it doesn't just consumes your time, it consumes your mental energy and your headspace, your mental real estate, all of that. And that can negatively drain other areas of your life. And we don't want to be able to have that victim mentality and complaining about everything else in the world that is just going to negatively impact our life. So that is a big thing that I have found. The third C is contemplating. So this is where we just don't know what to prioritize. You're always stressed about what decisions to make, multitask, you do random tasks, you open dozens of random tabs, you try to look busy, but you don't really get anything done. You're figuring out like what kind of food you want to eat. You apply like what clothes am I going to wear, things like that. You contemplate so many things in your life. You're trying to make thousands of these micro decisions, and these can eat away at you. And like these seem small and insignificant in the moment, and trying to like decide like what kind of food you're going to eat, or where you're going to go, at what restaurant you're going to go, or like what food you're going to order, things like that. And like all of these small things, they compound when you're trying to make so many little decisions. And of course there are bigger decisions to make, like for your business, for example. Like what do I need to prioritize for my business, things like that. Those are bigger decisions to make, but at the end of the day, we're always making decisions. I'm making decisions on what words I'm going to say in this video, and if I'm going to I just need to, you know, consider the fact that I'm not going to always have the right words to say. And like, if I try to stumble and worry about what words to say, I'm just going to end up taking down this video and re-recording it all from scratch again. And that ends up wasting time. That's a decision to make. Like we always make like these like tens of thousands, countless little decisions. And we end up getting nothing done if we're always contemplating on what decisions we need to make and not simplifying things enough. So you can have a lot of anxiety. People have a lot of anxiety of like trying to figure out like what are the problems I need to solve, what decisions I need to make on a day-to-day basis, even on an hour-by-hour basis. Something like what you need to prioritize throughout the day. So the solution I found, at least in certain areas of my life, is I wanted to define a goal, the problem I've faced that I need to overcome to reach that goal, and the solution to overcome that problem to reach the goal. So we call this the GPS framework, inspired by Sam Ovens. And so I'd like to mention an example here. So if my goal is to make my first 10K month, if that's my goal, then what is the problem that I need to solve to get to that goal? So some problems might be different for each person, depending on, like you might have the same goal but a different problem. What is the problem that you need to solve specifically to be able to reach that goal? For me, is that I don't have enough people who know about me. I don't have a lot of subscribers. I don't have a lot of people like getting in the DMs and getting on sales calls to be able to present my offer or actually get clients signed. So that's my problem I need to solve. I need to solve for the marketing and like making people know I exist pretty much, and eventually getting people to know my product exists. So the solution for me is to continue making more content and reaching out to people. So content, outreach, these are like the basic decisions I need to make to actually solve the problem of making more money for my business. That is the constraint that I'm trying to solve. So I can minimize the amount of decisions I make based on that, and not worrying about over optimizing my product or trying to create a logo or things like that. There are so many business decisions we can make And of course, there are other areas of our life to solve for this, and we could apply this in other areas of our life, like our fitness, our relationships, our spiritual life, things like that. There's so many other factors, but we want to determine and try to reverse engineer how to solve for the problems to solve for achieving a certain goal and making it easy to make the decisions as well. So for me, I don't want to have to worry about like what food I'm going to be making. So for me, I literally have the same breakfast every single day. I know exactly what I'm going to eat. I eat eggs scrambled, and I have Greek yogurt with granola and sometimes some fruit if I have it. So that's basically my breakfast every single morning. I want to make it as easy as possible and not have to think about like what I'm going to eat for breakfast, right? That's one example. I don't want to have to think about like, oh, I want to do something else for breakfast. What should I do? Should I have some sausage, or should I have maybe, I don't know, some bacon in there? Maybe like that alone is going to, like that decision alone, it might seem insignificant, but it can take up more time than you realize, especially on the span of a week, a month, a year. If you're always making those decisions, you don't realize how much time in the moment you're spending until you scale it out for so long. And then you might realize, oh man, that decision that I made of like trying to contemplate on what I'm going to make for breakfast is the reason why I don't have an extra 15 to 30 minutes on just getting a good workout in or doing something for my business, things like that, right? So we need to simplify our decision making so we don't have to contemplate on so many different things in our life, right? There's so many decisions. I have to make so many decisions, and I'd rather it to be simplified so I can just move on with my life and save time for what I actually want to do. So that's 3 C's that I have found that can take up the most amount of time in your day. So I wanted to say here, if this does help you out, if there's anything that you found that stuck out to you, I'd love to be able to know in comments below what you thought. If there's anything else that you'd add that you found that like maybe not in this list that just wastes so much of your time and energy, then I'd love to be able to hear it. I'd love to be able to share thoughts, but that's it for the video. I wanted to also say, if you are a veteran or first responder or entrepreneur that wants to transition into civilian life and looking to start your own business, I do have spots open to work with me one-on-one so that I can help you properly make that transition, create purpose back in your life, and provide systems that will help you start and scale your business without sacrificing time away from what matters most to you. So if that interests you, book a call with me in the description below, see if we're a good fit. But anyway, that's it for the video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you found this helpful, and I will catch y'all later. Simplify.